I'm usually a pretty private and disciplined person, so when my roommates invited me to a party over the weekend, I ended up saying no. I need to use this time alone to study and catch up on some overdue assignments. Even though I sometimes feel a little lonely, I prefer staying home and focusing on my goals. I sit at the kitchen table with my books and notebooks spread out. The quiet of the empty house helps me focus, and soon I'm absorbed in my studies. A few hours pass when I start to feel hungry. I get up to grab something from the fridge, but stop halfway when I hear a strange sound coming from the living room. A creak, like someone moving around. My heart races, and I feel a wave of fear wash over me. I remember the stories about break-ins and robberies I've heard lately. Did someone get into my house? Should I call the police? My mind starts racing, imagining the worst. I decide to slowly head to the living room to check what's going on, my body trembling with every step. That strange noise in the living room had me on edge, so I quickly checked the rooms before returning to my studies. Everything seems normal, so I chalk up the noise to some furniture shifting. Still, I can't quite concentrate, staying alert for any other unusual sounds. It's late at night when my phone starts ringing, startling me. I check the number and see it's an unknown caller. Even though I'm a bit nervous, I decide to answer. Hello? Who is this? But all I hear on the other end is a strange static, like the call dropped. I feel a chill run down my spine. Why would someone call just to play that sound? Is it some kind of prank? I feel really uneasy, wondering what it could mean. I remember stories about weird phone calls and hauntings. Is something supernatural going on? A little later, the phone rings again. Once more, it's that same static on the other end. I'm getting more and more freaked out, not sure what to do. Should I hang up? Or should I try to find out who's calling? I can't help but imagine the worst-case scenarios. Right now, I deeply regret not going to the party with my friends. Are they okay? These weird calls keep coming throughout the night, always with that same static on the other end. Each ring makes my fear grow. Then, in one of the calls, I hear a voice that freezes me. It's my own voice, slowly saying, "I'm watching you." A chill runs through my whole body. Who's doing this? How did they get my voice? Is someone actually watching me right now? The sense of security I had at home is completely gone. I don't know what to think or what to do. Shaking, I decide to unplug the landline, as if that could somehow end this nightmare. But even then, my cell phone keeps ringing with that same weird call. I can't take this anymore. I need to get out of here, go somewhere public, where there are people. I can't stay alone in this house at night. I grab my keys and run to the front door. But as I'm about to turn the doorknob, I hear a creak from the kitchen. My heart races again, and I feel my legs go weak. I can't leave, whatever's tormenting me is inside the house. I'm completely at the mercy of this invisible danger. I have nowhere to run. Hearing that creak from the kitchen, I feel my body freeze with fear. I can't leave, and I can't stay here. I'm completely vulnerable, at the mercy of a threat that seems to be inside my own house. My heart is pounding so fast that I can almost feel it hurting in my chest. At that moment, my cell phone starts ringing again, with the same unknown number. Shaking, I decide to answer, hoping maybe I can find out who's behind all this. Hello? Who's there? My voice comes out weak and hesitant. For a moment, there's only silence on the other end of the line. Then, I feel my blood run cold as I clearly hear the sound of footsteps outside the house. Slow footsteps, as if someone is creeping closer. Instinctively, I turn toward the window, panic spreading through my body. And then I see them, a lone figure standing on the sidewalk, looking directly at my house. I can't make out any details, but I know they're watching me. I take a few steps back, feeling tears run down my face. Who is this person? What do they want from me? My cell phone is still to my ear, the call still open, and I can hear the sound of footsteps getting closer and closer. I'm completely at the mercy of this danger, not knowing what to do next. With my heart pounding, I was forced to make a decision. I need to call the police immediately. They can come here and protect me from this terrifying threat. Shaking, my fingers slide across the phone screen as I try to dial the emergency number. After what feels like an eternity, I hear the operator's voice on the other end. Police, how can I help you? Please, come quickly. My voice is desperate. There's someone lurking around my house. I think I'm being watched. The operator reassures me and says a patrol car will be sent immediately. While I wait, I keep looking out the window, but the mysterious figure is gone. Where did they go? Did they see me calling the police and run away? When the sirens finally arrive, I rush out of the house to meet the officers. They carefully search all the rooms but find nothing out of the ordinary. No signs of forced entry or any strange presence. The landline is disconnected, and my cell phone stops receiving the strange calls. Despite the police's efforts, we couldn't figure out what really happened. The feeling of fear and vulnerability remains, and I know this night will haunt me for a long time. Who was that person watching me? What did they want from me? Am I still in danger? I have no answers, just a deep sense of insecurity that will take a while to fade.
I was finally alone at home. My parents had gone to visit my grandmother in the countryside, which meant I had the house all to myself for the entire weekend. Sure, a part of me felt a slight panic at the idea of spending 2 whole days without their company, but I was also excited about the chance to have total freedom. Determined to make the most of it, I dove headfirst into my favorite hobby, binge-watching horror movies. I spent hours in front of the TV, letting the suspense and fear completely consume me. It was fascinating how those stories could draw me in so deeply, like I was actually living each terrifying scene. As the evening set in, I heard a strange noise coming from the basement. My heart suddenly raced, and a feeling of unease washed over me. It's probably just the wind, I thought, trying to calm myself down. But as the minutes passed, the noises got more frequent and alarming. Was there someone down there? As the night wore on, the sounds from the basement became more frequent and disturbing. At first, it was just a faint rustling, like something moving around. But then there were creaks and bangs, like someone was rummaging through boxes and cabinets. My heart pounded as I realized these weren't the typical sounds of the heating system or rats scurrying around. Something, or someone, was down there. My mind started imagining the worst-case scenarios: a burglar, a thief, maybe even a serial killer lurking. Despite the fear consuming me, I tried convincing myself it was just my imagination, fueled by the horror movies I'd watched earlier. Don't be silly, Ricardo, I thought. It's probably just the wind or some animal. So, I decided to ignore the strange noises and kept watching TV, trying to distract myself. But as time went on, it got harder to focus. The noises seemed to grow louder and more frequent, and I felt a growing restlessness. If there really was someone down there, I was in serious danger being alone in the house. Those weird noises from the basement just wouldn't leave me alone. No matter how much I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, the unease inside me grew by the minute. Finally, I decided I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to find out what was happening. Gathering all my courage, I slowly got up from the couch and walked towards the basement door. My heart was pounding erratically, and my hands were clammy with sweat. As I reached the entrance, I noticed the door, which I was sure I had closed earlier, was now slightly ajar. A chill ran down my spine. Someone or something had been down there. My stomach twisted with fear, and for a moment, I considered just going back to the living room and calling the police. But curiosity and the need to understand what was going on were stronger. Slowly, I reached out and pushed the door open, which creaked softly as it swung wide. The basement stairs stretched out before me, shrouded in unsettling darkness. I took a deep breath, gathering my strength, and began to descend, step by step, my eyes scanning for any movement or sign of activity. The sound of my own footsteps echoed in a disturbing way, making me even more tense. My heart hammered in my chest as I descended the dark basement stairs, clutching tightly onto a baseball bat I'd grabbed as an improvised weapon. Each step seemed to reverberate in the oppressive silence, and my eyes darted around, searching for any hint of movement or presence. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a fleeting shadow. My whole body tensed in pure terror, and for a moment, I thought about turning around and running back to the safety of the living room. But summoning all my determination, I kept moving forward, step by step, getting closer to that enigmatic figure. When I finally reached the basement floor, the place seemed completely empty and calm. No sign of the shadow I had seen earlier. My eyes frantically scanned every corner, every box and piece of furniture, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. Had it just been my overactive imagination, letting out a long sigh of relief? I was just about to head back upstairs when a muffled noise caught my attention. It came from behind a pile of boxes. My heart raced again, and gripping the bat tightly, I approached slowly, ready to face whatever was waiting for me. After carefully checking the pile of boxes and finding nothing, I decided it was time to get out of that creepy basement. My body was trembling with fear and adrenaline as I quickly climbed the stairs and shut the door behind me, locking it firmly. At least up here, I'd feel a bit safer. I returned to the living room, trying to steady my breathing. But no matter how much I tried to calm down, the feeling of being watched didn't leave me. It felt like someone's, or something's, eyes were fixed on me, watching my every move. I nervously glanced around the dark corners of the house, my body tense and ready to react to any threat. After a while, I decided standing around wasn't helping. I needed to do something, maybe call the police and ask for help. I grabbed the phone, but my hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. As I dialed the number, I heard a noise coming from the kitchen. My heart froze, and too scared to move, I sat paralyzed on the couch, clutching the phone tightly. What the hell was happening in this house? Who or what was stalking me? The feeling of being watched, of not being alone, tormented me every moment. Maybe I should have left as soon as I heard the first noises in the basement. Now it was too late. I was trapped in my own home, at the mercy of a threat I couldn't understand. When morning finally came, the daylight brought a sense of relief and safety. I decided to gather the courage to go back to the basement and investigate further. My parents hadn't returned yet, so I'd have to deal with this alone. As I went down the stairs, my eyes were immediately drawn to marks on the floor, dirty, irregular footprints, as if someone had been there during the night. My heart raced again, a chill running down my spine. Following the footprints cautiously, I reached the basement window, which, to my shock, was open. Someone had definitely broken into my house during the night. I felt a knot in my stomach as I realized the shadowy figure I had seen earlier wasn't just my imagination. There had really been an intruder, someone who sneaked around the basement, and worse, managed to leave without being noticed. I took a few steps back, adrenaline pumping through my veins. Who was this person? What did they want? Were they still around, watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike? A shiver of pure fear hit me, reminding me of the horror stories I had watched the night before. Maybe they weren't just fiction after all. Quickly, I ran to close the window and lock the basement door, determined not to leave any way for that intruder to get in again. But as I moved through the house, I still felt those invisible eyes following me, watching me with malice. I wasn't alone in this house anymore. Something unsettling, and potentially dangerous, was lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next opportunity. I never heard any more noises or saw any signs of strange activity in my house after that day. But unfortunately, the feeling of being watched and the paranoia that something bad could happen again never left me. Since that scary incident in the basement, my days have been marked by constant tension and fear. Every noise, every shadow I see out of the corner of my eye, makes my heart race, reminding me of that mysterious intruder who managed to break into my home and escape without a trace. Is he still out there, watching me, waiting for the chance to come back? Many times, I wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, tense and alert, convinced I heard something out of the ordinary. My eyes frantically scan every corner of the room, looking for any suspicious sign. And when I finally manage to fall back asleep, I'm tormented by nightmarish dreams, where that shadowy figure chases and threatens me. During the day, I can barely focus on my usual activities. My eyes are always restless, searching for potential dangers around me. I avoid being alone at home, preferring to stay with friends or family. And whenever I come home, I check every room, making sure everything is in place, and there's no evidence of anyone having invaded my safe space. I need to share this story with someone, to get this weight off my chest. I feel like if I don't share this experience, I'll end up going crazy from all the fear and paranoia. Maybe that way, I can finally find some relief and peace of mind and leave behind this terrifying incident that changed my life forever.